Studnickaaquatics here. I thought I would do a tour. This was a custom built, which I did myself, and it is a custom built saltwater aquarium system. I want to do a complete tour on how to set one of these up with the filtration and everything. And you can do it yourself. You don't have to have somebody come in and do it. It is a little overwhelming trying to figure out which pump to use, everything, which UV sterilizer, with, you know, the whole 9 yards, filtration, everything. So anyway, this is a 240-gallon saltwater aquarium. It is acrylic. It's 8 foot long, it's 2 foot wide, and 2 foot deep. If I had a choice to do it again, I would probably have it be closer to 2.5 to 3 foot from front to back, but I would never go deeper than 2 foot because I have long arms, and if it gets past 2 foot top to bottom, it gets difficult to keep it clean. I did order this aquarium through Titan Aquatic Exhibits. They were very good to work with. They custom made this thing for me, and I went ahead and built it into the wall here. They provided the metal stand, that way they could guarantee the aquarium for life. And I did build it around a corner, and I have a little bench here that I can sit in, and I can view the aquarium while I'm watching TV or while I'm working on artwork or whatever I'm doing. So anyway, I did close this thing in myself. I think it turned out pretty good. I wanted to leave the big light on long enough to show you what that looked like. I have 2 access panels down here for getting to filtration. I have a tall door on this end in order to access that end for electrical and such. And then of course I have a door up here to access on top here. I did the crown moldings, I did everything. I think it turned out really, really well. As I said, I did build the wall for this thing, and also on electrical. Let me get rid of this big light now. On the electrical system on this thing, I had this thing wired. Let me turn this fan off. It's a little loud at the moment. Get rid of that. Okay, when I had this house wired, I have this going through 2 breakers. So I have plenty of electricity here. I have electricity to spare. A little bit of shelving here in order to hold stuff. I put this board on here with fabric on it, with black fabric, and it can be removed for cleaning of the aquarium. But that way, when you're on the other end and you're looking down through this other end, you don't see what's in that cupboard back there. All you see is the black wall. I did set this up with artificial coral inserts. I've had corals in the past. I had a 125-gallon coral reef aquarium that was absolutely gorgeous, and when my house burned, I lost everything. So I decided to go with artificial coral inserts. I'm able to keep some livestock in there. I'm able to keep some fish that you normally could not keep with corals, because they'll eat the corals and nip at them and cause problems. And what I have in this system is I have 2 of the pajama cardinals, and they are getting pretty good size. Puffer's always right in front. Anyway, I have this damsel back here. I don't remember what kind he is. He's really gotten black. He's kind of a neat looking fish. I have a 1-spot fox-face rabbitfish, an Atlantic blue tang, and of course my stars and stripes puffer. I do have a small little rusty angel, which is hiding down on this end right now, and I also have a snowflake eel. So we'll do a tour of the filtration now and how I set this whole thing up, and hopefully this video doesn't get too long, but it's going to take a little while to explain everything that's going on, and I did write everything down on a note. This thing does have trapezoid overflow in the middle, and the water drops down over there, and then I split it. I went with 2 filters rather than 1. I live in the middle of nowhere. If I would have a pump go down or I would have something happen, I can run one of these filters and I can still keep circulation going until I get a replacement pump. I think it's a very good way to go. It drops in right there and right there. That's gravity flow from the trapezoid overflow. It comes over and drops into this filter. And this filter is a CPR 1000 wet dry filter. I know everybody says you need sump, you need live rock. I'm not running corals. I have no corals in this system. I don't need that. What I want is a lot of oxygen in that water. And when you run a wet dry filter system, you oxygenate the heck out of that water. So you never tie up oxygen. And basically the batting, this is your mechanical filtration on top, what needs to be changed right now. I buy that from Walmart. It's in the fabric department. They use it for quilting and stuff. And everything I'm doing on this side, I also have another one on the other side. They're actually hooked in tandem. And that is what I have for a filter. Pump, what I have for a pump is I have 2 of the Blue Line 40 HD pumps. They run 790 gallons per hour each. So that adds up to 1,580 gallons per hour minus head pressure. The head pressure takes a little bit of that, and I didn't figure that into it. So I'm probably running around 1,450 to 1,500 gallons per hour on that. I'd have to look that up. And basically how that works is it drops into here. This is your mechanical filtration. This is your nitrifying bacteria. There's the aerobic, and then the anaerobic is the stuff underwater. It drops into this chamber here. In there I do have 2 heaters. I don't have very large heaters. I don't need them. There's 1 in each one. But anyway, from there, after it goes through all of that and through the protein skimmer, then it is pumped back with this pump right here. And I am doing a few other things before it gets back into the aquarium. I am also running 2 Bubble Magus Curve 5 protein skimmers, and it works very, very well. On this other end over here, let me go down to this end and I'll show you. As you see, this end is pretty much identical to the other end. But what I did was on the return, after it comes out of the Blue Line pump, it then is pulled through. It goes into the bottom of this UV sterilizer. And this UV sterilizer is a Coral Life Turbo Twist, and it is the 12X. It's the biggest one that they make. It goes in like a spiral staircase. It goes in the bottom and it comes out the top of there. From there, it then goes over and up into the top, and I do use check valves to avoid backflow. Now, another thing that I have done is I have teed off of that line. After it comes out of the UV sterilizer, I teed off with the ball valve for adjustment, and that goes over here and through this wall, and I have a cooler over there, and that's my refugium. I have a light on that. I have some saltwater plants in there. I have some live rock in there, and that is my refugium. From there, it just gravity overflows here back down into the filtration system. So it's just in a big loop, it's what it is. The other thing that I've also done is I have, and I use Ys on these because Ys work way better and they are hard to find. But I Y off of my return, and I do this on both sides, and I'm coming into the 2 little fishies 150 phosphate reactor. And I am running PhosGuard in those, and that keeps my phosphates and silicates in check so that I don't get a lot of algae problems with that. So I know it's quite a bit to absorb in a little bit, but there's quite a bit to it. Now also another thing I do is in that bag back there, I have high grade activated carbon. I have a bag in each filter. As I said, I have 2 heaters in here. I also, for cooling this thing, I do not have problems with my tank getting too hot. So, and the reason for that is I'm in my basement for one, that helps a lot. And then I have a fan on this end. It's on at all times, and it blows across the top of all of this filter here. And I actually put a vent on that end over there, so that air is being pulled from one end across, and it keeps air moving at all times. Another thing that I have done is I tied into my central air conditioning duct work, which is right here. It was already existing going across the top, and I cut a small hole in it. In the summer, I put a tube in here, and it blows cold air down on top of this system. Air conditioned cold air blows on top of it, and then that fan down there blows that air across. So that way I don't have to spend a lot of money on getting a system to keep this thing from overheating. So that pretty much covers the filtration part of this thing. I do have a pinpoint thermometer on this thing, digital, to keep track of the temperature on this thing. And as far as salinity goes, once a week, this is very important. Once a week I put in the Pro Buffer DKH. I put 60 milliliters in a week, and that maintains my pH at absolutely perfect levels. Now for lighting on this thing, I do not have live corals, so keep that in mind when I do my lighting. These are Aquatic Life marine LED lights. They're 4-footers, and I have 4 of the marine ones, just the standard marine LED lights, and then I have 2 of the actinic ones. That's the ones in the middle, and that gives me plenty of light. Of course, everything's on a timer. The other thing that I do is, and I need to refill it, I have a auto feeder, because fish like Atlantic blue tangs, things like that, they are moving all the time. They have a very high metabolism. They're constantly in need of food. The other thing that I have done in this system is I went with coral sand rather than crushed coral. There's good and bad sides to that. The reason I went with the coral sand is it's better on like the belly of the eel. I have a snowflake eel in there, and that way it doesn't scratch up the bottom, and it's a lot better for him to have that in there. The downside is that when you do a water change and you go through the sand to keep detritus from building up, that you end up pulling sand out. Well, I keep that sand, I clean it, and then I put it back in. So I think that pretty well covers this system. I really enjoy it. I also have it stocked, I think, fairly light. I could obviously have a lot more fish in there, and I might pick up some more over time and add some. I'm thinking about doing a school of about 35 to 40 like blue-green chromises, which would really be impressive. But if it's stocked light, it's easier to maintain, it's no problem. And what I do for water changes on this, I change out about 25 gallons of water once a month is what I do. And I have a video out on how I do that. I go through the sand, I siphon it, I mix the water in a tub and set it here the day before, and then after I get all this stuff gone through, then I add the new water. The filtration, I need to change my floss, of course, on that, but other than that, it's just to maintain keeping stuff clean, keeping salt creep off, check your salinity, check your pH, and check everything. So that is a quick tour of my saltwater aquarium system. If you've ever wanted one of these, yes, they do cost quite a bit of money, but if you do it yourself, it's going to save you a tremendous amount of money when you do it, and you can do it yourself. It is hard to figure out sometimes what pumps you need and everything else. So if you're interested in setting one of these up, let me know, comment on my channel, and we can talk about it, and I'll tell you exactly if you need any more information, because these are a really good way to go. You do not have to have live corals. If you fill a tank this size with live corals, you better have a big checkbook. That's just the way it goes. And the artificial coral inserts allow you to have a tremendous number of fish that you normally could not have, because they will mess with your corals. The other good side to this is if I would ever get a parasite in here or something, I can copper the whole system and I can wipe out all parasites. And you can't do that with live corals. So I have another tank that does have live corals in it, but this is kind of my predator tank, as if you would say, but it is not a big predator tank. It's small predators, I guess is what I'm looking at. But it is 240 gallons. It's around 300 gallons total. The only other thing is you probably can't see it real well, but the refugium is actually down under there. And it's basically, well, it's just a cooler is all it is. And then it pumps in, well, gravity's in and gravity's out. So anyway, that is a tour of my saltwater system, 240 gallons. I really enjoy it. It works very, very well. The coral inserts, I take them in, they are non-porous, and I put them in a mild solution of Clorox water for about 15 minutes and take them out and rinse them very good. It completely cleans all the algae off, and you put them back in and they're as good as new. And I've been doing this for years. So anyway, that is a tour of my saltwater system. If you have any questions, please let me know.